Have you ever had an idea you thought was really good, but then you find out someone already had the same idea and made it way better in ways you didn't even think of? Well, that's what Battle Monsters is, a bootleg Darkstalkers that looks like a Mortal Kombat game. Released in 1995 for the SEGA Saturn, Battle Monsters is a fighting game about monsters battling. It sounds like a fake game made for a TV show, and it kinda looks like one too. I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. This has to be one of the worst user interfaces I have ever seen. You know what's great about health bars? They're easy to read even at a split-second glance. That's not the case here in Battle Monsters. Health is represented by candles. As you take damage, they shrink until they're extinguished. It's hard to tell how much health is left or how much damage you're doing. And it's not like the attacks are one-to-one to the candles. An attack can do a quarter of candle damage, half, or multiple at once. The timer is even more baffling. It's an hourglass, which makes sense, but it's drawn in such a way that you can't even tell how much time you have left. Thankfully, as time runs out, the sand changes color, giving you some indication. Even with hours of playtime under my belt, I still find the HUD difficult to read. Not to mention, it's just an eyesore. Imagine if all fighters had candles instead of health bars. Instead of saying a combo did half health, you'd be getting hype over 5 1/3 worth of candle damage. Battle Monsters' style and art direction are clearly inspired by Mortal Kombat down to the digitized actors. Unlike Mortal Kombat, Battle Monsters applied that style to the stages as well, leaning into the photorealistic look. As a result, each stage looks surreal. It reminds me of those I Spy books or full-motion video games you'd see on the SEGA CD. I even get some Castlevania vibes. Nothing looks like a normal place, and it's the perfect backdrop for this game's freak show cast. This game may look like a Mortal Kombat clone, but it plays nothing like it. I would describe the gameplay as a really janky and loose imitation of an SNK fighter. The Sega Saturn has a 6-button controller. Your only real attack buttons are punch and kick. The other, attack button is a dedicated taunt / dive kick / super button. Let's not forget the L and R buttons. They serve as a forward dash and backward dash, respectively. The other 50% of buttons are jump buttons. The 3 jump buttons tie into Battle Monsters' main gimmick, platforms. Battle Monsters may look like a regular fighting game, but that's how they get you. In reality, it's actually a platform fighter. Each stage has its own unique layout for different gameplay possibilities, in theory. In practice, this gimmick doesn't amount to much. Most of the stages have really small platforms, or none at all. What a scam. There are no meaningful fights to be had on these platforms. Get hit once and you'll be plummeting to the ground. They're just too small and best used for running away or hit and run tactics. The idea of having multi-layered stages isn't a bad one, as 1995's Savage Rain does something similar. That game also had layered stages, but it works a lot better because the stages are a lot more involved and the characters in that game have more tools to interact with the environment, which is something Battle Monsters sorely lacks. Platforms aren't the only thing stages have to offer. There are a couple of stages with hazards. Nothing crazy, some destructible environments here, falling stalactites there, but there are 2 cool stages. The hand stage loops on itself vertically, creating some interesting gameplay opportunities. It's a lot of fun chasing down your opponent or knocking them off the hand and following them up from the ceiling. Then there's the flytrap stage. It's basically a sumo arena. You knock your opponent off the stage and into the jaws of defeat. Literally. Due to the lack of attack buttons, the fighting is basic. Functionally, everything works, although this is by no means a finely tuned game. We take that for granted these days. Generally, everyone knows what a fighting game should feel like, and Battle Monsters gets real close, but feels off. Hit stun, hit stop, recovery frames, they're all over the place. Some special moves take years to come out, do pitiful damage, and recover instantly. It gives me the idea that the developers didn't fully understand fighting games, and I can't really blame them because they are deceptively complex. Even though the gameplay is janky and nowhere near the polish of, say, a Capcom fighter, Battle Monsters' gameplay is completely serviceable and, at times, enjoyable. One aspect of the gameplay that really stood out to me is the juggle system. Falling off of platforms, getting hit out of the air, and certain attacks leave your opponent in a juggle state that lets you get an extra hit. You can even combo into grabs, leading to at least 4/3 and 1/4 worth of candle damage. There is a similar mechanic on the ground that causes your opponent to enter into a slipping animation. I have no idea what triggers it. I assume it's because of counter hits, but it feels random. Certain attacks trigger a simple blood effect. A lot of fighters around this time, Battle Monsters included, had blood effects even if they didn't necessarily fit the game. The game industry is always chasing trends, and adding a couple of blood sprites was easy and gave your game an edge. It added a respectable dash of violence while not fully committing to the brutal, ultra-realistic violence of Mortal Kombat. One last gameplay oddity I want to touch on involves throws. They're proximity-based like most fighters of this era, meaning if you're close enough to your opponent you'll throw and there's no whiff animation. For some reason the throws can be blocked, going against a core aspect of every fighting game ever created and to be created in the future. I can't tell if this was an intentional design decision or just a bug. Also, they don't check for elevation, so if you're directly under your opponent, your throw will still come out. I mean, I have to give it to the developers. It's impressive they messed up throws twice. Battle Monsters has a roster of 12 creatures to choose from. They don't follow traditional fighting game archetypes per se, it's more like the developers had some costumes lying around, thought of moves that would be cool, and distributed them amongst the cast with reckless abandon. Let's start simple with a monster everyone can understand, Death Mask.
Death Mask.
Just by looking at him, you can tell who he's supposed to be, but totally legally distinct, and how he's going to play. Death Mask is one of the slowest characters in the game with poor mobility and sluggish attacks. To compensate, he has multiple high damaging grabs, my favorite being the one where he plants you into the ground and then follows through with a deadly uppercut. It's goofy, but that's why I love it. His super is a lightning fast projectile, being his one and only ranged option. Supers use this flashing bar, the mana bar. Taunting will fill up the super bar, but to be honest, it feels inconsistent. It's constantly fluctuating with no real rhyme or reason. Sometimes it would fill up right away, and other times I would go an entire round without filling it once, despite constant taunting. When you do get a super, they range from being very useful to utterly useless. So if your character has a super that sucks, you can just ignore it. Drzuul is a generic monster, and so is his moveset. The only real standouts here are his Spike Ball transformation, dash attack, and flame breath. His super is a rush attack, a common super type in Battle Monsters. I have nothing more to say about Drzuul. Headless Harn, on the other hand, is my guy. Harn leverages his condition to his advantage. He can throw his head, use his head to grab you, beat you to death with his head, and transform into Drzuul. This special looks cool, but isn't that useful. Don't worry though, his super makes up for it, in which he turns himself into a human torpedo. And the biggest twist of all is revealed in his ending. Headless Harn. He can just put it back on. I guess Harn is just a guy who knows how to use his head. Fangor is a skeleton warrior with a bone to pick. Fangor is one of the elite few who have an anti-air special move. Now that I think about it, the reason this game lacks anti-air attacks is probably to accommodate the platform gimmick, but if the game had more of them, it'd make the game play way better. Fangor's super is a giant flame wheel. It's not great. Chili and Pepper are a strange combo of clown plus caveman. At first I thought they'd be a puppet character, but they're more like a simplified version of Hisui and Kohaku from Melty Blood. They are by far the fastest characters in the game. Their roll punch is so fast it decimates the AI. For their super, Chili and Pepper curl into balls and start orbiting a small area. However, the most bizarre thing about them isn't their design or attacks, but the noises they make. For some reason, they make Michael Jackson noises. Shion is just a swordsman. Some of his sword attacks use A plus B, giving him a couple extra normals and specials. I really wish all the characters had this, it gives him so much more variety. His coolest attack is the Sword Flurry, where he just goes nuts with that sword. When his mana is full, he could unleash a decisive sword strike, a straightforward super for a straightforward character. The living doll, La Pa, is a highly acrobatic character. Her downward projectile is meant to be used from the high ground, but it works just as good, if not better, on the ground. She has a special run that stuns the opponent, performed by an equally strange input. She's incredibly mobile and can be annoying to pin down. La Pa's super rockets her upwards, making it another rare anti-air. Kapka is a shaman with the highest damage special in the game, the Bat Summon. The Bat Summon, unlike other projectile attacks, does crazy damage. He has magic orbs to back him up, a counter that makes it feel like the game is gonna crash, and a terrible magic carpet special. Hop on the carpet to fly around, and then press the A button to launch yourself. This special is slow, it's almost impossible to pull off, and if you do, it barely does any damage. My heart's desire is to never use this special again. His super summons a swarm to fill the screen, but why bother when you can just throw bats at people? Naga is a dollar store Medusa. They're kinda like Sub-Zero, since Naga can freeze their enemies, but with stone instead of ice. If you play Naga, your life goal should be landing the stone freeze into Snake Rush. It does so much damage. Naga's super is a better version of Death Masks. They transform and fire a volley of projectiles. One of their voice lines is this yell. This is a stock sound. I only bring this up because during the development of Super Mario 64, Nintendo used the same sound for Mario's voice. So, we could have lived in a timeline where these two shared a voice actor. Here's another fun fact. Did you know that Naga means amber in Japanese? Al-Bol is a wraith, or a ghost, or something, that specializes in magic and hard to pronounce names. His auto combo is this multi-hitting ball with a ton of hits done. He's got a high damage lightning bolt attack and not one, but two dive kicks. One with a really dumb sound and the other that turns him into a giant evil fireball. Oh, and he's got a teleport for good measure. His super... you wouldn't want to see this one. Scythe is the gatekeeper for the final boss and my least favorite character in this game. He's supposed to be a flying character with a focus on zoning, but he has no way to get any decent damage and his projectiles hit at bad angles. Since he's a birdman, he can fly, but it's not much better having the same issues the rest of his kit has. His super summons a hailstorm of projectiles, but it's too slow to be practical. I've saved the best for last. Makaryudo is my favorite character. Projectiles, anti-airs, a command grab, he has it all. His normals advance him forward, and his auto combo is one of the best in the game, being chainable into itself. His super is another rush super and reminds me of Ryo from Art of Fighting. And the cherry on top is this ridiculous, high-pitched Tarzan yell he does. What more could you want from a character? He's perfect. Outside of the main roster, there are two non-playable bosses. The first is a guy who turns into your character for a mirror match. The second is the final boss. After proving yourself the king of the monsters, you're faced with one final challenge. The music that plays during this part is really cool. It adds a layer of epic grandioseness to the final encounter, or should I say, encounters. In a twist to the standard fighting game arcade formula, the final boss consists of 4 fights with the Big Four, rulers of the Dark Kingdom and hosts of this tournament. To win the throne, you must win 4 matches, and the same goes for your opponent. I appreciate that you're given 5 shots at winning. The developers could have easily made this an unfair gauntlet. The Big Four, as the game calls them, represent 4 elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. Final bosses in fighting games tend to be overpowered, but this one is on the easier side of things, with the air guy being the biggest pushover. It's not a complete walk in the park. Their special moves do hit like trucks, so you have to play semi-smart, but they're no Akuma or Geese Howard, that's for sure. I love their stage. You get to see all the other monsters cheering for you. I mean, it's a tournament. After all, even if you lost, wouldn't you want to see the finals? With enough perseverance, you can defeat the elements themselves, and the Dark Kingdom is yours to rule. The endings are nothing to write home about, but I do like seeing the designs in higher quality. Dearth Dock aside, I really enjoy all of the monsters' designs. They hit the sweet spot of not being too generic and still being memorable. I definitely won't forget the Caveman Clown Jackson twins anytime soon, that's for sure. After claiming the Dark Kingdom as your own, all you have to look forward to is a leaderboard. It sure is lonely at the top. There are no secret characters or unlockables. Notably, there is a debug menu that you can use to play as the Big Four. That's kinda cool. If you ever wanted to see all the hitboxes for your favorite battle monster moves, that's here for you too. I'm sure this is an invaluable tool for the Battle Monsters competitive scene. Whoa, did you guys just see that? A year later, Battle Monsters would get a sequel on the PlayStation, Killing Zone, a game that has a much worse reputation. I guess I'll have to cover that one day too. Battle Monsters is an average fighting game, a solid 6 out of 10. It's not the greatest thing ever since sliced bread, but I would be lying if I said I didn't have fun with it. The idea of a platform fighting game isn't a bad one, as Super Smash Bros. Is one of the most popular fighting games of all time. The issue lies in the people behind the game. They didn't have the skill, know-how, or creativity to pull the idea off. This game really is just a bootleg Darkstalkers, and if you owned a SEGA Saturn, you could just play Darkstalkers, or any other fighting game on the system. This one is definitely not in my top 3 Saturn games, but Battle Monsters is a weird fighting game. Thanks for Battle Monsters for now.